Kim by Rudyard Kipling. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Kim by Rudyard Kipling. Read by Adrian Pretzelis. Chapter 5, Part 1. Here come I to my own again, fed, forgiven, and known again, claimed by bone of my bone again, and sib to flesh of my flesh. The fatted calf is dressed for me, but husks have greater zest for me. I think my pigs will be best for me, so I'm off to the styes afresh. The Prodigal Son. Once more the lazy string-tied shuffling procession got under way, and she slept till they reached the next halting stage. It was a very short march, and the time lacked an hour to sundown, so Kim cast about for means of amusement. "But why not sit and rest?" said one of the escort. "Only the devils and the English walk to and fro without reason." "Never make friends with a devil, a monkey, or a boy. No man knows what they will do next," said his fellow. Kim turned a scornful back. He did not want to hear the old story how the devil played with boys and repented of it, and walked idly across country. The lama strode after him. All that day, whenever they passed a stream, he had turned aside to look at it, but in no case had he received any warning that he had found his river. Insensibly, too, the comfort of speaking to someone in a reasonable tongue, and of being properly considered and respected as her spiritual adviser by a well-born woman, had weaned his thoughts a little from the search. And further, he was prepared to spend serene years in his quest, having nothing of the white man's impatience, but a great faith. "Whither goest thou?" he called after Kim. "No whither. It was a small march, and all this," Kim waved his hands abroad, "is new to me." "She is without question a wise and discerning woman, but it is hard to meditate when—" "All women are thus." Kim spoke as might have Solomon. "Before the lamasery was a broad platform," the lama muttered, loping up the well-worn rosary, "of stone. On that I have left the marks of my feet, pacing to and fro with these." He clicked the beads, and began the Om Mani Padme hums of his devotion, grateful for the cool, the quiet, and the absence of dust. One thing after another drew Kim's idle eye across the plain. There was no purpose in his wanderings, except that the build of the huts near by seemed new, and he wished to investigate. They had come out on a broad tract of grazing ground, brown and purple in the afternoon light, with a heavy clump of mangoes in the centre. It struck Kim as curious that no shrine stood in so eligible a spot. The boy was observing as any priest for these things. Far across the plain walked side by side 4 men, made small by the distance. He looked intently under his curved palms, and caught the sheen of brass. "Soldiers, white soldiers," said he. "Let us see." "It is always soldiers when thou and I go out alone together, but I have never seen the white soldiers." "They do no harm except when they are drunk. Keep behind this tree." They stepped behind the thick trunks in the cool dark of the mango tope. 2 little figures halted. The other 2 came forward uncertainly. They were the advance party of a regiment on the march, sent out as usual to mark the camp. They bore 5-foot sticks with fluttering flags, and called to each other as they spread over the flat earth. At last they entered the mango grove, walking heavily. "It's here or hereabouts. Officers' tents under the trees, I take it, and the rest of us can stay outside. Have they marked out for the baggage wagons yet?" They cried out again to their comrades in the distance, and the rough answer came back faint and mellow. "Shove the flag in here, then," said one. "What do they prepare?" said the lama, wonder-struck. "This is a great and a terrible world. What is that device on the flag?" A soldier thrust a stave within a few feet of them, grunted discontentedly, pulled it up again, conferred with his companion, who looked up and down the shaded cave of greenery, and returned it. Kim stared with all his eyes, his breath coming short and sharp between his teeth. The soldiers stamped off into the sunshine. "Oh, Holy One!" he gasped. "My horoscope! The drawing in the dust by the priest at Umballa. Remember what he said? First come two, for ashes, to make all things ready, in a dark place, as it is always at the beginning of a vision." "But this is not vision," said the lama. "It is the world's illusion, and no more." "And after them comes the bull, the red bull on the green field. Look, it is he." He pointed to the flag that was snap-snapping in the evening breeze not 10 feet away. It was no more than an ordinary camp-marking flag, but the regiment, always punctilious in matters of millinery, had charged it with the regimental device, the Red Bull, which is the crest of the Mavericks, the great Red Bull on a background of Irish green. "I see, and now I remember," said the lama. "Certainly it is thy bull. Certainly also the two men came to make all ready." "They are soldiers, white soldiers. What said the priest? The sign over against the bull is the sign of war and armed men. Holy One, this thing touches my search." "True, it is true." The lama stared fixedly at the device that flamed like a ruby in the dusk. "The priest at Umballa said that thine was the sign of war." "What is to do now?" "Wait. Let us wait." "Even now the darkness clears," said Kim. It was only natural that the descending sun should at last strike through the tree trunks across the grove, filling it with mealy gold light for a few minutes. But to Kim it was crown of the Umballa Brahmin's prophecy. "Hark!" said the lama. "One beats a drum far off." At first the sound, carrying diluted through the still air, resembled the beating of an artery in the head. Soon a sharpness was added. "Ah, the music!" Kim explained. He knew the sound of a regimental band, but it amazed the lama. At the far end of the plain a heavy, dusty column crawled into sight. Then the wind brought the tune. "We crave your condescension to tell you what we know of marching in the Mulligan Guards to Sligo port below." Here broke in the shrill-tongued fifes. "We shouldered arms, we marched away. From Phoenix Park we marched to Dublin Bay. The drums and the fifes, oh sweetly they did play, as we marched with the Mulligan Guards." It was the band of the Mavericks playing the regiment to camp, for the men were route marching with their baggage. The rippling column swung into the level, carts behind it, divided left and right, ran about like an ant-hill, and— "But this is sorcery," said the lama. The plain dotted itself with tents that seemed to rise all spread from the carts. Another rush of men invaded the grove, pitched a huge tent in silence, ran up yet 8 or 9 more by the side of it, unearthed cooking pots, pans and bundles, which were taken possession of by a crowd of native servants. And behold, the mango tope turned into an orderly town as they watched. "Let us go," said the lama, sinking back afraid, as the fires twinkled and the white officers with jingling swords stalked into the mess tent. "Stand back in the shadow. No one can see beyond the light of the fire," said Kim, his eyes still on the flag. He had never before watched the routine of a seasoned regiment pitching camp in 30 minutes. "Look, look, look!" clucked the lama. "Yonder comes a priest." It was Bennett, the Church of England chaplain of the regiment, limping in dusty black. One of his flock had made some rude remarks about the chaplain's mettle, and to abash him Bennett had marched step by step with the men that day. The black dress, gold cross on the watch chain, the hairless face, and the soft, black, wide-awake hat would have marked him as a holy man anywhere in all India. He dropped into a camp chair by the door of the mess tent and slid off his boots. 3 or 4 officers gathered round him, laughing and joking over his exploit. "The talk of white men is wholly lacking in dignity," said the lama, who judged only by tone. "But I have considered the countenance of that priest, and I think he is learned. Is it likely that he will understand our talk? I would talk to him of my search." "Never speak to a white man till he is fed," said Kim, quoting a well-known proverb. "They will eat now, and I do not think they are good to beg from. Let us go back to the resting place. After we have eaten we will come again. It certainly was a Red Bull, my Red Bull." They were both noticeably absent-minded when the old lady's retinue set their meal before them, so none broke their reserve, for it is not lucky to annoy guests. "Now," said Kim, picking his teeth, "we will return to that place. But thou, O Holy One, must wait a little way off, because thy feet are heavier than mine, and I am anxious to see more of that Red Bull." "But how canst thou understand the talk? Walk slowly. The road is dark," the lama replied uneasily. Kim put the question aside. "I marked a place near to the trees," said he, "where thou canst sit till I call." "Nay," as the lama made some sort of protest. "Remember, this is my search, the search for my Red Bull. The sign in the stars was not for thee. I know a little of the customs of the white soldiers, and I always desire to see some new things." "What dost thou not know of this world?" The lama squatted obediently in a little hollow of the ground not 100 yards from the hump of the mango trees, dark against the star-powdered sky. "Stay till I call." Kim flitted into the dusk. He knew that in all probability there would be sentries round the camp, and smiled to himself as he heard the thick boots of one. A boy who can dodge over the roofs of Lahore city on a moonlit night, using every little patch and corner of darkness to discomfort his pursuer, is not likely to be checked by a line of well-trained soldiers. He paid them the compliment of crawling between a couple, and running and halting, crouching and dropping flat, worked his way toward the lighted mess tent, where, close pressed behind the mango tree, he waited till some chance word should give him a returnable lead. The one thing now in his mind was further information as to the Red Bull. For aught he knew, and Kim's limitations were as curious and sudden as his expansions, the men, the 900 thorough devils of his father's prophecy, might pray to the beast after dark, as Hindus pray to the holy cow. That at least would be entirely right and logical, and the padre with the gold cross would be therefore the man to consult in the matter. On the other hand, remembering sober-faced padres whom he had avoided in Lahore city, the priest might be an inquisitive nuisance who would bid him learn. But had it not been proven at Umballa that his sign in the high heavens portended war and armed men? Was he not the friend of the stars, as well as of all the world, crammed to the teeth with dreadful secrets? Lastly, and firstly as the undercurrent of all his quick thoughts, This adventure, though he did not know the English word, was a stupendous lark, a delightful continuation of his old flights across the housetops, as well as the fulfilment of sublime prophecy. He lay belly flat and wriggled toward the mess tent door, a hand on the amulet round his neck. It was as he suspected. The Sahibs prayed to their God. For in the centre of the mess table, its sole ornament when they were on the line of march, stood a golden bull fashioned from old-time loot of the summer palace at Pekin, a red gold bull with lowered head, ramping upon a field of Irish green. To him the Sahibs held out their glasses and cried aloud confusedly. Now, the Reverend Arthur Bennett always left mess after that toast, and being rather tired by his march, his movements were more abrupt than usual. Kim, with slightly raised head, was still staring at his totem on the table when the chaplain stepped on his right shoulder-blade. Kim flinched under the leather, and, rolling sideways, brought down the chaplain, who, ever a man of action, caught him by the throat and nearly choked the life out of him. Kim then kicked him desperately in the stomach. Mr Bennett gasped and doubled up, but without relaxing his grip, rolled over again and silently hauled Kim to his own tent. The Mavericks were incurable practical jokers, and it occurred to the Englishman that silence was best till he had made complete inquiry. "Why, it's a boy," he said, as he drew his prize under the light of the tent-pole lantern. Then, shaking him severely, cried, "What were you doing? You're a thief, chur, maloom." His Hindustani was very limited, and the ruffled and disgraced Kim intended to keep to the character laid down for him. As he recovered his breath, he was inventing a beautifully plausible tale of his relations to some scullion, and at the same time keeping a keen eye on, and a little under, the chaplain's left armpit. The chance came. He ducked for a doorway, but a long arm shot out and clutched at his neck, snapping the amulet string and closing on the amulet. "Give it me! Oh, give it me! Is it lost? Give me the papers!" The words were in English, the tinny, saw-cut English of the native bred, and the chaplain jumped. "A scapular?" he said, opening his hand. "No, some sort of heathen charm. Why, do you speak English? Little boys who steal are beaten. Do you know that?" I do not steal." Kim danced in agony like a terrier at a lifted stick. "Oh, give it me. It is my charm. Do not thieve it from me." The chaplain took no heed, but going to the tent door, called aloud. A fattish, clean-shaven man appeared. "I want your advice, Father Victor," said Bennett. "I found this boy in the dark outside the mess tent. Ordinarily I should have chastised him and let him go, because I believe him to be a thief. But it seems he talks English, and he attaches some sort of value to a charm round his neck. I thought perhaps you might help me." Between himself and the Roman Catholic chaplain of the Irish contingent lay, as Bennett believed, an unbridgeable gulf. But it was noticeable that whenever the Church of England dealt with a human problem, she was very likely to call in the Church of Rome. Bennett's official abhorrence of the Scarlet Woman and all her ways was only equalled by his private respect for Father Victor. "A thief talking English, is it? Let's look at his charm. No, it's not a scapular, Bennett." He held out his hand. "But have we any right to open it? A sound whipping." "I did not thieve," protested Kim. "You have hit me kicks all over my body. Now give me my charm, and I will go away." "Not quite so fast. We'll look first," said Father Victor, leisurely rolling out poor Kimball O'Hara's ne varietur parchment, his clearance certificate, and Kim's baptismal certificate. On this last, O'Hara, with some confused idea that he was doing wonders for his son, had scrawled scores of times, "Look after the boy. Please look after the boy," signing his name and regimental number in full. "Powers of darkness below," said Father Victor, passing all over to Mr Bennett. "Do you know what these things are?" "Yes," said Kim. "They are mine, and I want to go away." "I do not quite understand," said Mr Bennett. "He probably brought them on purpose. It may be a begging trick of some kind." "I never saw a beggar less anxious to stay with his company, then. There's the making of a gay mystery here. Do you believe in Providence, Bennett?" "I hope so." "Well, I believe in miracles, so it comes to the same thing. Powers of darkness, Kimball O'Hara and his son. But then he's a native, and I saw Kimball married myself to Annie Shott. How long have you had these things, boy?" "Ever since I was a little baby." Father Victor stepped forward quickly and opened the front of Kim's upper garment. "You see, Bennett, he's not very black. What's your name?" "Kim." "Or Kimball?" "Perhaps. Will you let me go away?" "What else?" "They call me Kim Rikki-Tikki, that is, Kim of the Rishti." "What is that, Rishti?" "Rishti. That was the regiment of my father's." "Irish. Oh, I see." "Yes, that was how my father told me. My father, he has lived." "He has lived where?" "Has lived? Of course. He's dead. Gone out." "Oh, that's your abrupt way of putting it, is it?" Bennett interrupted. "It is possible that I have done the boy an injustice. He is certainly white, though evidently neglected. I'm sure I must have bruised him. I do not think spirits—" "Get him a glass of sherry, then, and let him squat on the cot. Now, Kim," continued Father Victor, "no one is going to hurt you. Drink that down and tell us about yourself. The truth, if you've no objection." End of Chapter 5, Part 1.